Zoom recording. Slideshow. All right, well, welcome to another edition of Think with a Drink. For some reason, my presenter view is not working on this screen, so I'm going to bring us out a little bit here with this. I don't know what's going on. I don't know why it's doing that, Craig. It's
something that came up that said turn presenter view off on the bottom. I don't know if there's something on your bar that gives you there. There it goes. Now it looks better.
Well, I just pulled the screen out basically.
Oh.
That's just weird that it did that. I don't know why it did that, but what's this button do? Ooh, I don't know what I did there. That was bad. Don't press that button ever. Okay,
so everything.
Yeah, so I don't know what happened there. We're sort of playing with this, and we'll sort of figure it out as we go along here. We're sort of trying to keep things in somewhat of an order. But welcome to another edition of Think with a Drink. I'm not off to a flying start, but that's okay. This happens every now and then when we're dealing with tech, and for some reason, Zoom doesn't want to cooperate tonight. This is our Where in the World series, Should I Retire? And now we're going to talk about the Mid-Atlantic states. And so just to follow through with that, a couple of things, a checklist for us here as we go along. So just know we're recording this or attempting to record it. Now we got fingers crossed, right, Craig? That hopefully.
As it's recording.
Yeah, okay, there we go. All right, so keep your microphones muted. Don't worry about the cameras because we're sort of keeping that part of the screen blocked, so nobody has to worry about that. There is a chat box, so you can just drop any questions into the chat box. My co-pilot, who I will introduce in a second, is here to not only chime in with the event, but also to ask it, follow up on any questions in the chat box. There we go. I got that out. Okay. All right. So see, you got blocked on this. I can't see you. See, I got to get all of you in there. There we go. All right. So
there you go.
All right. So your pilots for tonight's journey. I am Tom Alessi. I am the president of the Aries Foundation. I have actually been in financial services. Now I'm in my 24th year. I'm an investment advisor. That means I act as a fiduciary, act in my client's best interest whenever I am giving any guidance and advice. I want to bring my vice president, Craig. Introduce yourself.
Sure. So I'm Craig Richardson. I'm the vice president of the Aries Foundation. I've been doing this a little over 18 years now, and I specialize in working with families and small businesses to help them define their future goals and have a better relationship with their money.
And Craig will be chiming in as we go along. I think I like this view better because I can get us into the box here. I think this is a way to do that where we can. I don't know if this will work, but we're trying.
To record it later, right?
Yeah, we'll watch it later and figure it out. But I think I like this one, so we'll see if we can do this ongoing and sort of just, keep the participants off, just us on the screen, sort of that webinar feel to it. All right, so moving forward here, you can't see all of the Aries Foundation, but that's okay. You get the gist of this. Told you that Think with a Drink is brought to you by the Aries Foundation for Financial Education. We are a nonprofit. You can visit our website. It's www.ariesfoundation.org. Our mission is trying to help everyone have a better relationship with their money. Because whether you realize it or not, you are in a relationship with money. And just like every other personal relationship you have, there are back and forth and behaviors and emotional triggers that cause us to act irrationally sometimes. And we just got to move on and deal with it and understand our finances and get a better handle on things. And that's all that myself, Craig, and the rest of the Aries team tries to do with everyone. All right, disclosures. There's a lot of words on the screen. I am not going to read all those. Just know we are a nonprofit. We do this for educational and informational reasons. And we just ask that if you do share this, because we have these videos, they're up on our website, they're up on our YouTube channel, that you just share them in an educational manner as well. However, Craig, myself, the rest of the team always recommend that if you ever have any questions of a legal, tax, or financial matter, that you seek out the help of a professional. Okay, that was enough with all of that. Now we come to the fun part of the evening. I don't know if I put this in here. God bless what I did today. Yeah, I was running around. Let's see what happens. No, see, it's not there. Oh, that's too bad. I am drinking Kona Big Wave. I did it in, I did it in all of the postings today. This is This is basically a golden ale from our folks at Kona Brewing in Hawaii, of all places. It's referred to as liquid aloha. Oh, how's that for you?
Yeah.
It's a golden. It's more on the lines of a blonde than a golden ale, I guess. This is what I'm understanding. It's a very slight, very crisp, very refreshing. If you were going to do this with food, the pairing would be like seafood, salads, or maybe like a light pasta type of thing. What are you drinking tonight?
Doesn't aloha mean hello and goodbye?
Whoa, now you're throwing me. I don't know. I just
I think
I
it
know how
does.
to I know how to say Tom in Hawaiian. It's coma.
Coma.
Koma. Yeah,
Just the same effect, right? So you drink enough, it's hello, and at the end it's goodbye, and then it's Tom, you're in a coma.
You're in a
So
coma. You
that's
have enough of a big wave, then you're in a coma. That's basically Koma. That's Tom in Hawaiian. All right, what are you
well,
drinking tonight?
I got a Snoop Dogg special. I'm drinking the Corona Premier with 2.6 grams of carbs and only 90 calories. So,
So it's just a straight Corona. There's no fun
well,
or any.
no, just a Corona Premier. I don't know if that makes it straight. It's just a straight Corona.
Yeah, no, I
Yes.
meant like Skull. I meant like lime or versions. They have all sorts of versions now of it.
Oh, really? I thought so you don't have to actually buy a line to put in there.
Yeah, they
Oh, yeah.
figured out like, hey, we can just give somebody the lime already in there.
It's like drinking slightly flavored water, but okay.
Slightly favored one. No, the Kona wave's okay. It's pretty good. All right. Moving on, as we'll try to do. Okay. So the agenda is the criteria that we use for these areas. They're not the top 10 cities. What we decided to do instead is we went state by state because, as we found out when we started this whole madness in the Southeast, that basically if you ran the top 10 cities, like half of them were in Florida. So that wasn't fun. We wanted to see different states and what that was like. And we'll talk a little bit about doing a test run or trial run if you're going to be looking at, seriously considered relocating or finding some place to live for your retirement years. All right, so the Mid-Atlantic here. So with the Mid-Atlantic, as we have said all along, we gerrymandered the map as far as the U.S. is concerned, but it's our show, so we can do whatever we want, really. So basically, we've gone from Maryland, Delaware, Virginia, North Carolina, and Tennessee is sort of what we're calling the Mid-Atlantic. We didn't touch New Jersey because I don't know that anybody wants to retire in New Jersey, so we sort of left that out of it. But those are the five
That's
states
not a fair statement, really. New Jersey's got some very beautiful parts of New Jersey.
I'm sure it has, but
Yeah.
it's still
Have
New
you been to
Jersey.
Cherry Hill, New Jersey?
Yes,
Yeah.
I have.
That's why it's called the Garden State for a reason,
The Garden State. Yeah.
know.
That's like those companies that like they're burning all the oil and but they're donating to not the pollution funds, right? So hey, it washes. One side versus the other, right? We're all good there. So what criteria did we use, right? So the criteria that we used, basically, we looked at cost of living. We looked at population over age 65, healthcare, taxes, recreation, proximity to an international airport, because travel is a thing, right? That's on the bucket list. Everybody wants to travel, and especially like conversations, Craig. I don't know if you've been running into this, but some of it with some of these, as people are getting near it, the conversation is that they'd like to be near to family.
Yeah, I think that's a big one that stops people from moving too far, is they want to be near the kids, the grandkids, their friends that they have, and it's part of their lifestyle.
Right.
So,
Or the other side of that, which is true, you brought in another part to it, that the kids have moved someplace else. I want to go see the grandkids now. So I got to be able to travel to go. Yeah, I got to go chase them. I got to go travel to go see them. So that is part of it. So that was the criteria that we were using. Okay, let's get into it. So the first state here is Maryland. And again, Maryland, it's in what we considered in the Mid-Atlantic. Didn't really ever come up on any of the categories or screens or anything that we've done. So we were just sort of hunting in the dark here with it. We chose Bel Air, Maryland. And because Craig asked for it last week with it, this happens to be one of those craft beer places. Like, I guess Maryland is the hot spot in terms of craft beer. Like there's this huge festival they do every year. There's breweries everywhere. So if you are a craft beer lover or aficionado, that this is the place to be.
So now the
Uh,
lease is out for you. Now you're going to
yeah,
Bel
no,
Air.
now suddenly I'm, maybe Maryland would be a better shot there instead, right? In terms of that. Home prices are more expensive maybe for some other parts of the country. Obviously, here in the Northeast, it sort of stays in line with what we have. Bel Air has a high number of senior centers and communities, world-class health system. The Baltimore Washington International BWI is 30 miles away. So travel is not that international travel or going, like Craig said, to chase the grandkids or wherever they might be. That's not an issue. And over 30% of the population is over 65. So it's a huge community. And that's why some of that healthcare is there. What did you find with Bel Air?
I back up that. I have 39.1% of the citizens are
There you
over that
go.
age.
Wow.
Right. And kudos everything else you said. I mean, just a great place to live, a lot of culture, very pretty city, a lot of Victorian buildings. So you get that, that brick building type feel,
Right.
which is kind of nice. You still get seasons, but they're not as severe.
Yes. Yeah. And it comes up in another one where you do have the four seasons thing, right? So you still get that, but like you said, you don't get the true terribleness.
Right. And Maryland, unknown to some people is, home of Purdue chicken. So they
Purdue
look like
chicken. Well, I don't know if
Purdue
you get any
chicken.
benefit from that, but okay. All
And
right,
then
but
you have the
let's,
Maryland crabs. Right.
yeah, and Maryland crabs, yes. Okay, so let's look at the cons here of Bel Air, right? So it is a higher cost of living compared to the national average, right? So when we look at national average, it is slightly higher. There are estate taxes. Maryland is one. I think it's only 12 states now that have actual estate tax. Maryland happens to be one of them. They do get severe weather just because you're coastal, and it does happen, right? So you do get that. And they do have, again, along with the estate taxes, higher taxes and crime rate. Maryland has a high crime rate. What do you got
You
for
mean the state
cons?
itself?
Yeah, yeah.
Pretty much the same things. I didn't have anything really different. Um, like I said, if you higher cost of living is probably something that precludes some people from moving there, if they're not living in a high area already. I mean, if you're in New England, like you said, you're used to that. You're
Right,
coming from somewhere else, it may be a little steep to try to get in there.
right. Might be a
Um,
little bit of a sticker shock in that situation.
right. I think, for retirees, sometimes they do get concerned about estate taxes. Well, I think, a lot of the states that do have them follow the federal mandate. I don't believe they do, just kind of like Massachusetts, they have their own dig.
Right.
And so if that's an issue for, trying to leave money to your heirs, then that's something you want to take into consideration.
It is a
Uh,
concern, right? That is a part of it. So that's why we bring it up with that. All right, so now we're moving on. Now we've gone to Tennessee, and the only reason we sort of roped Tennessee in here is because, and we didn't use it as the place, but like Nashville is like this thing, like Nashville, like everybody thinks that Nashville right now, like if you say Nashville, like everybody wants to go to Nashville and hang out in Nashville. It's like become this thing. Not for seniors, unfortunately, but for everybody else, it seems to be the thing with that. So we chose Winchester and fairly reasonable. I mean, it's lower average cost of living in Winchester, right? Average median home. It's very tax friendly there. There's a lot of hospitals in the area. The problem is the nearest international airport is Nashville, and it's 94 miles away. So you're fairly remote here with this. I mean, there's a lot of culture, there's a lot of stuff to do, but
mhm.
just understand if that travel thing is really something that you're, jonesing for or going to be doing on a regular basis, this may not be the place for you because it is a haul to get there. But if it's like, well, hey, I'm only going 2 or 3 times a year, I don't care that it takes me, an hour and 10 minutes or an hour and 20 minutes to get there.
Yeah. Are we still going over positives? Or are we going over
Positives.
negatives?
We're positive right now. Staying positive for the moment.
Well, I think, like I said, the positive is, like I said, livability. Like I said, it's very inexpensive to live there. Like you have that 130,000 on the screen. 150,000. And the average
150,000 for the
mortgage is like
average
11.
home cost, right?
Yeah, and the average mortgage is like 1,100, 1,200 bucks. I mean,
Yeah.
or rent. Yeah, so it's very, very expensive to live.
All right. So you
Um,
want to go to the negatives, I take it. You want to go to the negatives with Winchester.
oh no, I was touching on.
Okay.
No, it's a very rural place, which is kind of nice if you were
Yeah.
looking for something quiet. And but you were touching on both at the same time, I think. So I
Well,
wasn't
no,
sure.
it's just the whole thing with the international travel. That's the only thing, right? So the travel part of it, it's one of the criteria we sort of try to keep on this. So we try to
Mhm.
find the places that are not too remote to an airport.
Yeah, I mean,
That's that's the thing.
and another plus is that they have a very good educational system, but probably not so relevant if you're retired.
Right.
So
Not much for a senior there in terms of that. Okay, so let's go to the cons then, right? There's no beach. It's Tennessee. It's a, as Craig said, now this may be a positive for some people, again, may not be, but like Craig, it's a very small town, right? So with that very rural, very small town thing. But if that's the type of person you are and that's what you're looking for, like if you've been living in the big city your whole life and now you want to just, go and just not have that anymore, this might be a better fit. But for some people, they do like to have the big city vibe still kicking around. So
look, I
um,
grew up in Florida, Mass. There's only 900 people. This place is 10 times that size. There's 9,000 people there.
that's still very small and very rural,
That's
right?
like at
So
least two or three families. I mean, this is huge.
there is a high property crime rate there, so you just got to be aware of it. They do get the severe weather, the tornadoes and hurricanes, because they're in the whatever they call it, the alley or
Hurricane Alley,
yeah,
Tornado
whatever it
Alley,
is, the
Tornado Alley.
tornado alley, and
Oh, we just keep rebuilding.
just put it back up on the blocks. Uh, and heat stroke gets very, very hot and humid in the summer, and clearly there's not a lot of relief in terms of that. So you do get it was one of the things that did come up, that heat stroke with a lot of, especially seniors, does come up a lot. You got
So
anything
this
negative?
so this is mid-Atlantic, but you're still going to end up with a lot of sweet tea here, right?
Yeah,
Just because of the weather, right? A lot of sweet
right.
tea. I've been to Tennessee, and there was a lot of sweet tea down there.
See?
Yeah, yeah. No, I think that you pretty much covered. I mean, crime is high. That's kind of a downturn. And I think, for seniors, the growth rate there is kind of slow. The average age is like 44 years old of the residents. And so it may not be, if you're looking for something a little more bustling, having a lot of things for seniors to do, probably not the epicenter for that.
Right, right. That's one of the drawbacks, is being that sort of small town rural feel. But again, if that's what you're looking for, that might be the place.
Hmm.
All right, so now we go to North Carolina, right? So we did not include North Carolina in the South. We told you we gerrymandered the map, so we considered North Carolina in the Mid Atlantic states, not in the South. That wasn't the real Mason-Dixon line, but it was our line. So just so we chose Hendersonville because a lot of times when you look at, and the same thing will happen in the last state we covered, Virginia, that a lot of times it looks at the bigger places that are in these areas and they become real, like just big cities, and it just doesn't have the same feel. So we looked at Hendersonville. I don't know why it did that. Hendersonville goes right about at the national average. It's just slightly below the national average, again, for retirees, for the cost of living. You can see the median home cost is about $200,000, rents about just under 1,000. There's no estate tax, and they have very high quality healthcare in North Carolina. And specifically here, it's not too far away. You can see Greenville Airport's 30 miles and Charlotte is 86 miles away. And Charlotte has like one of the world class, like one of the top healthcare facilities in the country. The Charlottesville Medical Center or something that's there. There's some.
You're just a 2 hour drive from all that Charlotte has to offer. Right.
It's 86 miles, dude. How is that 2 hours?
Okay, well, I'm figuring average speed 45, 50 miles an hour and stop for gas and coffee. I don't know. from a
Yeah,
back road. I don't know.
it's probably at least, yeah, it's probably close. Probably close there. Probably like an hour and 40, hour 45. So yeah.
About 45 minutes the way you drive, but
I know that's the difference. You're right. It is probably some of that you got to be careful, right? Don't be speeding in this part of North Carolina, boy. Plenty do the one of the reasons for choosing Hendersonville is that the population, much like one of the earlier ones, it's over 30%. Over 30% of the population is over 65 years old. So it is definitely geared towards an older population, with
yep.
all that's there and all that's available. Plenty of outdoor activities. It's North Carolina. The reason I picked this one is more. It's right in the Blue Ridge Mountains, or right at the base of the Blue Ridge Mountains, the Shenandoah Valley. It's all right there. So it's not near the coast. It's more to the western part of the state
Hmm.
for the outdoor stuff.
Yeah, and the really cool part about this town is it's almost twice the size of the last one. There's like almost 14,000 people in this town. It's a city.
It's a city almost.
They probably have a general store and everything.
It's that rural free delivery, right? RFD. All right, the cons though, right? So you've got a high crime rate. North Carolina, it's going to go across just about the entire state everywhere. It's going to come up again against the national average, and places it does rate higher. You get hurricanes, right? So, you definitely have severe weather that goes through. You have a higher cost of living again against everything than taxes. And the reason that we bring the taxes into it is because property taxes become a problem. And from my understanding, there really isn't high quality of public transportation in the area.
They don't have a local mule?
I don't know.
No.
Maybe a
Okay.
wagon. What do you got?
Wagon. Oh, yeah, the stagecoach is coming.
Stagecoach.
I'm sorry, we don't mean to pick on Henderson. Well, maybe we do. Um,
Did you have
um,
anything else as far as problems with Hendersonville?
as far as problems, no, I think, like I said, the population could be a plus or a minus, depending on what you're looking for. Very, very slow rate of growth in the population there. Um, and like I said, the poverty level, well, it's not as high as some others. It's about 9-10% of the population is in the poverty level there.
Right. Right. And
So,
I think that's a lot of the state, though. The state could, and some of the states, like part of the other areas, like you said, are higher.
right, right, right. So, I don't, just something to take in consideration when you're looking at it.
Yep.
That's all.
All right. So now we get to when we did the original list of where in the states to retire, right? Two of the states that came on the list, one of them was Delaware, the other was Virginia, of
Mhm.
with different areas. But these two graded out as on the list, Delaware and Virginia. So I thought, well, Delaware, this would be easy. Right? It was very hard to find a place in Delaware as far as a good place to retire. Like I had to keep going back and forth on this. I ended up choosing Newcastle, which again, from the conversation, is really, really tiny. Like this is, I mean, I think the population is like 6,000 or so. It's a small place,
Wow.
but it's right on the water. So you've got beach, you're a suburb of Wilmington, so you're not too far from the big city life and effect there. It does have the
Mhm.
same sort of, it's an average cost of living, across the nation for retirees. The average home price you can see 211,000 is Delaware, so of course it's tax friendly. This is the home of the world of the corporation. Everything is tax friendly here. There's no
Mhm.
estate tax. They have extremely high quality health care. The only thing is Newcastle, the population is just about 11% over the age 65. What do you got?
Same thing. Like I said, the Delaware climate, because it's coastal, it's you don't have harsh winters. Probably more rain than snow. Um, the tax-friendly laws, you hit some of that. Also, you don't really don't think about Social Security being taxed on the state level, but in Delaware, you're not taxed up to the first $12,500 of pension income from the state. So that's something to take into consideration.
That's another
Um,
bonus. Yeah.
yeah. So it's great suburbs. So like I said, you're kind of near the city, but not in it. It looks like they have their own small community airport, which is interesting. Sort of those, quick
Yeah.
hops.
Yeah. What's going on there?
Well, I mean, a lot of towns have small airports, so
Sure. But
Um,
the rubber bands they're winding up to fly to things. I mean, where are you going in that thing?
I have a friend of mine. They actually own their own plane, and they'll take a skip up to like Maine or down to Pennsylvania. It takes them 3 hours or 2 hours to get there, and they can go for an afternoon.
It's great if you have your own plane.
Yeah, well, I'm just saying there are people who do have that
Yes,
lifestyle where they
that's
will
true.
hop
That
around on
is
a
true.
small
Yeah,
plane.
yeah.
I'm not going to do it, but
That is true. That is
there
true.
are
Yeah,
people who do. And it's awesome.
maybe that's your goal. Maybe somebody wants to retire and get a plane so they can just do
Their
that.
pilot's license.
Yeah,
Absolutely. I can't drive a car anymore, but I can fly a plane.
gonna fly instead. All right, the cons. So, like with anywhere in Delaware, the population is compact. It's a small state. So, every place is pretty much on top of each other. That's sort of the idea there with it. Again, poor public transport. There weren't too many negatives with. I don't know if you got any with it. The one I got was weird laws.
Oh, really?
Yeah, there were very strange laws. Like something about like you can't change out of a bathing suit in a bathroom.
Oh, damn, that's what I do all the time. That one
So
might
like if you go to the
definitely in my
beach, like you couldn't change and put it on dry clothes. You'd have to like either wait till your bathing suit dried to go home or go home wet, basically.
That's weird.
Yeah, it's very strange.
Yeah, okay. I don't know if they enforce it.
Well,
Are people in prison
oh
for
yeah,
that?
I'm not in prison.
You're a felony bathroom changer?
Yeah,
I
I
mean,
think it would be a fine, but that's okay. I don't know. It was a
go,
weird
Grandma.
thing.
Keep those wet skivvies. We're out of here.
Gonna get you. You got any negatives on Newcastle?
I can't top that. I'm good. No.
Okay. All right, Virginia. So Virginia, it's a sprawling, it's a massive state, and they got coastal, and there's a lot of big, like I said, Fairfax and Arlington. There's a lot of.
There we go.
Oh,
Sorry about that.
that's okay. I don't know what happened there. So anyway, there's a lot of places here that are fairly large areas. We chose Staunton as far as Virginia was concerned. It's got just a little bit less of the cost of living for the national average. Again, prices in Virginia start to creep up as you start getting closer to the Northeast in terms of costs. Uh, it's one of the top ranked as far as healthcare systems. Charlottesville, the airport's 49 miles away. You get all four, there it is, Greg, all four seasons. See, I knew to include it in one of them. And here, over 20% of the population is 65 plus. But it was interesting because, like I said, when we did the top 10 states to retire or top 10 places to retire in the US, the two of the states that graded out were Virginia and Delaware, that they came in. And, I think it was because of the healthcare, because of the four seasons, like Craig has talked about, where the four seasons are four seasons, but they're not severe four seasons, right? That part of it, that you do have an older population in a lot of the areas, so you're getting some of that, and your cost of living is not huge. It's not higher than the rest of the country type of thing.
Right, right. It's on a national average. Yeah, I mean, the other thing I think that has going for it is, compared to some of the other cities we've been looking at, it has a low crime rate.
Right, right. Yeah, that was the reason one of the reasons for pulling that and going through it was that crime rate.
Yeah. Other than that, I think you've got to hit the other selling points. That that it's the weather's temperate, so you can enjoy it. Um, you know, like the residents' overall happiness scale is calculated to be high, which is kind of weird. But I don't
Yeah, I
know
know.
where
It's
that.
another one of those weird things, like who's calculating that and where's the scale, right? So the
Well, they're only asking
cons,
people at the ice cream parlor. There.
yeah, I know. At the chocolate store, right? Here's some free
Yeah.
chocolate. Now tell me how you feel. So the cons here, right? You get unpredictable weather, right? So even though you get the four seasons, it's coastal, so you do get a lot of that. They have nukes. They've got nuclear power plants. So
Ah,
there's two nuclear power plants that operate in Virginia. So if you're freaking out about nuclear power, stay away. There's not a place for you because they have two operating nuclear power plants. You do have
okay.
high taxes here, however,
Mhm.
in Virginia. This place is a very, very small town feel, right? Even though you're a suburb, you got that. Now, whether that's a pro or a con for some people, we sort of put it in both places usually because some people want that sort of, like I said, you've been living in the city your whole life. You want to escape when you retire, it gives you that feel type of thing. Or maybe you've just always been in a suburb or a small town and that's what you want to retire to.
Yeah.
And the last one there, that's another of those, it's got weird laws too. You can't
Oh,
flip a
really?
coin to see who's going to pay for coffee. It's a
You
law.
can't?
I
Get
don't know
out of
what.
here.
Yeah, it's on the books. Don't ask me what. Don't ask me how many people are walking around flipping coins to see who's going to pay for the dunks. But I don't understand that one. But it was
Well,
just.
dice. Can you roll dice? Could you
I,
pull a card?
I think you can do anything else, but you can't flip a coin for
Well, you want to check the bylaws before you move into some of these southern mid-Atlantic towns, I would
it.
say.
Yeah,
For sure.
there's some weird, rules going on there. So it just
Wow.
that's all right. So, what we try to say to everybody is to be thinking about doing a trial run. And when we say a trial run, this is, I'm going to take a week of my vacation. If you have, more weeks, that's great. You can use the other weeks for the stuff you're having fun with. But you want to take at least a week and go visit whatever the place is, wherever you think this is where I want to retire, and go live there. And when we say live there, we mean go and pretend like you're living there. You're not traveling, you're not going around, you're going to do the stuff you're going to do every single day because it's the only way you're going to figure out whether or not that's a fit for you. Right, Craig? Because with the bucket list stuff, that's different. You're going to be doing that, maybe 4 or 5 weeks of the year.
Yeah, so like instead of staying in a hotel where you're going out to eat every night and someone's coming in to make your bed, you maybe stay in an Airbnb. So it's more like living in a home, right? You're buying groceries, you're making dinner, making meals, and then you're going out into the local community and just kind of seeing what's there
What's
and
there
probably.
and what you're doing. And that's going to give you that feel for it because otherwise, you're really just going to be like guessing whether or not it's going to be a fit. And it really does take a little bit of time and a little bit of effort to go through and do it. But we think it makes sense if you're really, picking up and moving away to someplace that maybe you haven't been or haven't lived in before some of maybe it's like Craig said, the sweet tea thing with the southern states. I mean, maybe that's the deal, right? But you got to understand that and you got to be able to deal with it.
Yeah, I mean, we can give you all the statistical information that you want. The problem is that every area has their own little culture and their own little niche, and you just want to see if you're going to fit into that niche or not.
Right. Absolutely. And that's the whole idea behind the trial run. So what we try to do, you can't really see that. I'm going to see if I can bring this down now.
Yes,
There we go. There we go. I got it in there. Look at that. So, the road ahead in this case is retirement. And the idea here is, are you in place to make this happen? And a lot of that involves the different aspects of, wait, I need X amount of income. Where's that income coming from? Do I have a pension? Do I have Social Security? Where, that's my cash flow. And cash flow is ultimately what retirement is all about because cash flow equals certainty, and certainty takes the pressure off of money. And you need to have an understanding. That's why we go through and spend a lot of time, Craig, on the taxes and the cost of living and what it means in retirement, because those are all the factors that are going to trigger everything.
Yeah, and a lot of times people are not equipped to deal with looking at the future, right? They have enough trouble just dealing with what's going on right now. And so a lot of times the road ahead is avoided as much as possible till you actually get
That
there.
would be the detour, right? I mean, we should put a detour sign up with that. It's
Well,
like,
you hit
go
a
ahead.
speed bump or a roadblock,
Yeah.
right?
But yeah, that's the avoidance, right? Like, I don't want to look at it because I don't want to think about it.
And that's why
And
it's
so,
good to have a coach or a driver, right? Have a
yes,
driver.
absolutely. Right. So coach is a good way to look at it. I like that. I like that perspective. That's sort of how we view ourselves and see ourselves as sort of in a coaching model. And part of that is this sort of roadmap to financial awesomeness is that sort of coaching method, right? It just gives you a sense of, okay, here's where everything is. Let's sort of build that out and figure out where you're trying to get to. And what does that look like? And how are you going to make that happen? And we make that available to everybody. It's part of what we do. All you got to do is drop yes into the chat box. We'll give you our contact information if you want to think about it. Craig probably dropped his scheduler, the calendar thing into the chat box. Perfect. That as far as going through that, but the idea here is you've got to have a starting point. And that's what this is. You need a starting point to say, okay, here's where I'm at. Now, where do I want to get to? That's the road ahead. And how am I going to make sure I'm navigating down that road properly? And as Greg mentioned, with all of the speed bumps and all the other things that can get in the way, the hazards and other stuff that can cause us to shift off that, how can I be prepared for those as they come along the path? That's what we try to do with everybody. All right, so we keep the Think with a Drink theme going with what's on tap. Next week, we are going to do what is financial wellness. And then on the 20th, we'll come back and finish out the best places to retire. This, we're going to talk the North and the West. And the only reason we put the North on here is because when we did that, best places to retire in the US, like 3 of them came out from the North.
Really?
Colorado, Minnesota, and New Hampshire were 3 of the states that were the top places to retire in the US.
Oh, wow.
So we'll go through and we'll throw the West in there as well, because that's the one part that we haven't hit. And we'll talk about the North and the West at that point. Craig, any questions in the chat box?
Not at this time.
Okay, so if you ever do have any questions, you ever want to reach out to us, you can certainly go to the website. There's a contact us way to do that on the website. It's www.ariesfoundation.org. Or you can just shoot us an email, info@ariesfoundation.org. We're happy to answer any questions, walk you through where you're trying to get to or what you're trying to be. And Craig, I'm just one last time on that. Any questions in the chat box?
I have no questions in the chat box.
Okay, then I am going to say good night and have a great evening.
Aloha.
Liquid aloha, yes.
Liquid aloha.